All right, we'll call this hearing to order. Good evening, everyone. We'll now call to order a hearing on the proposed comprehensive plan. For the past several years, the township has been working on an update to our current comprehensive plan. A comprehensive plan is a planning tool authorized by the municipality's planning code. The comprehensive plan takes inventory of all our resources and establishes a foundation for future growth in the community. The comprehensive plan includes a plan for future land use, a transportation plan, a plan for community facilities, and a plan for protecting our natural and historic resources. This comprehensive plan was not drafted in a vacuum. It builds on the 6 comprehensive plans that came before it. The first comprehensive plan was adopted in 1954, and as we move forward and update and amend our zoning ordinance, this comprehensive plan will serve as the foundation for that document. Copies of the proposed plan were sent to the county, the school district, and each municipality which is adjacent to us. We have received comments from the Montgomery County Planning Commission and from 2 municipalities. During the preparation of the plan, the township has been assisted by our planner, Marley Bice, Community Planning Assistant Manager with the Montgomery County Planning Commission. Marley is here with us this evening and will provide a brief presentation on the plan. Following her presentation, we will take questions from council and the public. Marley, would you like to proceed?
Okay. For that introduction, skip to slide 10 now.
You'd think after all this time I'd pronounce your name right.
So good evening, everyone. Yes, as you said, I'm Marley Bice. I've been a community planner with the Montgomery County Planning Commission for almost 13 years. And
oh, no, her light is on.
Green light.
Just tap the mic for a second.
Have this part.
Yeah. No, it's not.
Should I go on?
Do you want to try that? Yeah, there you go.
Yes, the township hired us in 2022 to come in and write a new comprehensive plan. If you could go to the next slide. President Whiteside already gave a great explanation of what a comprehensive plan is. I guess I just want to highlight a comprehensive plan is comprehensive in terms of subject matter. So as you mentioned, we covered all aspects of the community, both physical and programmatic. It's also geographically comprehensive, looking at the entire township from border to border, everything in between. And it also has a long-range time frame, which allows us to be more visionary and comprehensive in our thinking without hopefully overreaching our ability to project and interpret data. But of course, our assumptions and data aren't always perfect. Your 1989 comprehensive plan never envisioned the closure of the Naval Air Station and the impacts of that, environmental issues that were found. So that's why the municipality's planning code recommends that we evaluate and update as needed your comprehensive plan every 10 years. So the township's right on that time frame. Another thing I like to say about comp plans, and I actually got this turn of phrase from another local planner, Van Rieker, and when I was working with him in Upper Gwynedd, but I think it also describes my personal philosophy on comp plans, that they should be both a report card of where the community has been, summarizing your data, recent developments, the things that have been implemented from previous plans, and it's also a postcard showcasing the beautiful vision for the future of the community, get people excited about that. Next. So as required by the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code, a community's zoning ordinance, subdivision and land development ordinance, and capital improvement program must all be generally consistent and work to implement your comprehensive plan. This can also support additional planning, grant opportunities, policy decisions, and as you know, all of these elements work together in the daily administration of the township. So it's so vital that they all be based on that strong community vision, which was developed and confirmed through public outreach and data analysis. And as you mentioned, the township has a long history of planning. 6 previous comprehensive plans, transportation studies, master plan for the air base, master plan for the business parks, transportation studies, parks master plans. So the 2025 comp plan is meant to build off of all of this previous efforts. And this was about a 2.5-year planning process from official kickoff to the final draft plan that's before you this evening. And throughout that planning process, we conducted extensive public outreach. There were 2 community surveys with a total of 1,522 responses. There were 1,186 responses to the first survey alone, which meant that we reached almost 8% of your resident population with just that first outreach effort. And we do a lot of comp plans and a lot of surveys, and that's the second most responses of any municipal level comprehensive plan survey that we've done. So we're very happy with that. And that goes to show the outreach efforts of the township to get the survey out to the community. We also hosted 2 public open houses with over 110 attendees and had outreach tables at 6 community events. And there were also updates about the comp plan in almost every township newsletter over the last 3 years. So. And the public input is summarized in detail in the appendix of the comprehensive plan. Some more information there. So just a little bit about the layout of the plan itself. That's the cover, and then on the next slide there's an outline that it's organized into 12 chapters and the outreach summary appendix. For the most part, the chapters are organized around a single topic, providing data, maps, photos, recommendations for each, and then the plan culminates in a focus areas chapter that integrates the many topics that were studied in smaller geographic areas, and I'll highlight a couple examples from that chapter in a moment. But first, I just wanted to draw your attention to a few maps. The first is perhaps the most important part of the plan, the future land use plan. This is in the land use chapter, where you can also find a summary of existing land use and development trends. And then there are descriptions for each of the future land use categories on the map. This future land use plan recognizes the economic and social benefits of the township's strong commercial land use areas and identifies areas where new land uses and investment could revitalize and reconnect neighborhoods and create opportunities for targeted commercial area revitalization. The importance of maintaining the township's established residential neighborhoods and open spaces is also reflected. And this future land use plan was presented at the second open house in 2024 with only minor cleanup changes since then. The public feedback was very positive. The feedback was more focused on the need for connections, more green space, trails, walkability, the connections between land uses. But the land use distribution was well received. So the overall intent of your future land use plan is that over time, as the comp plan recommendations are implemented, you would move towards a future land use distribution that looks generally like this. But again, the basis is a lot of preservation of existing areas, with the residential and open space being the backbone. Another map I wanted to highlight is the existing sidewalk network and walkability analysis map from the transportation chapter. So this shows the existing sidewalk and trail infrastructure throughout the township, and then highlights common walking destinations, such as public schools, public parks, the township library, trail access points, and then the bubbles around each of those is what was considered a reasonable walking distance or walk shed around each destination. So this can help identify where additional sidewalk and walkability enhancements would be most beneficial in terms of connecting and expanding the existing network and improving access to the most potential walking destinations, because you can see where the various walk sheds would overlap. So the hope is this is a helpful planning tool to have all this information on one map, and I'm happy to work with you to keep it updated as additional improvements are made. And lastly, I wanted to highlight the recreational amenities at township-owned parks map. So that there's a corresponding table that provides more information about each park, but this map shows the geographic spread of the parks and open spaces as well as their unique icons for each type of recreational amenity available. And as you can see, there are so many such diverse options in the township. So lastly, the focus areas chapter highlights those 7 geographic areas of the township that were identified for further study because they're either important transportation corridors or economic development opportunity areas, or both. So there are 7 of them. For the sake of time, I picked out 2 to show as examples. The first is the Maple Glen Village, which is that area of Welsh Road between Limekiln Pike and Norristown Road, so part of your border with Upper Dublin. Given this focus area's location at the crossroads of 3 significant roads, an appropriately scaled and walkable commercial corridor is desirable in this location, while still providing for adequate vehicular flow. And graphics in each focus area show key recommendations in a map view of the entire focus area. That's on the bottom of this slide, as well as renderings and conceptual plans for specific recommendations to further illustrate those. So here the conceptual graphics show how portions of the frontage in this focus area could be improved through a cohesive streetscape and sidewalk network, as well as exploring shared driveway and parking opportunities. Another focus area we looked at was the Village Mall, now referred to as the Village. It's at the corner of Blair Mill Road and Westmoreland Avenue. This study area is primarily a 244,000 square foot building that was originally built as an indoor mall in 1972. So this area was identified as a focus area because it is the oldest of the township shopping centers and has the most potential for significant design enhancements to reflect market changes, create more green space, and expand pedestrian connections, while maintaining it as a primarily retail site. The grocery store there, especially being an important neighborhood anchor. So here the concept drawings and recommendations focus on ways to encourage the partial or full redevelopment of the mall site into an integrated mixed-use property, again highlighting the potential for greening and access improvements. And then the plan wraps up with an implementation chapter. This just shows a couple of examples of tables from this chapter that summarizes the recommendations and strategies from every chapter of the plan, but in a more condensed table format where you can see the strategy type for each item, as well as relative priority and other information that might be helpful, such as potential partners and potential funding sources. So that was the quick overview. I'm happy to take any questions.
Does anybody have any questions for Marla? That was great, thank you.
Oh, sorry. I just have a quick question. When we were looking at some of the comments from the public, there was one specifically about the Village Mall area. What's in the map that shows what's being proposed or what would be envisioned, is that just the site of the Village Mall with the Acme and the K1 Speed, I forget what it's called now. Like, is that all that's there, or does that include housing that surrounds that currently?
So there were 2 conceptual illustrations we did. The first one just looks at the mall site and how, that could be just re-envisioned, how instead of just one big building, if it could be broken into smaller buildings and create more of a walkable sense of place. And the second one the committee asked us to look at was if we zoom out and look at the adjacent apartment complex, which is also on the older end of the apartment complexes in the township, if there was even more potential there, where we'd want to replicate the same amount of housing and the same amount of retail, but could it be envisioned in a more modern way, and the 2 uses be more integrated. So both concepts were explored.
Okay, thank you. And I just want to say, I went to, some of your tabling events and things like that over the years, and it's just really impressive what everyone came up with and the vision for these areas. Thank you.
Anybody else have questions?
Just real quick, to the couple exhibits that are in your packet this evening, This public hearing was legally advertised as required by law. In your packet is the hearing notice, as well as the proof of publication in the Intelligencer, the Montgomery County review letter for the plan, the letters that went to the county, the school district, and our contiguous municipalities, the Horsham Township Planning Commission review and recommended approval of the plan, as well as Marley's public comments that she had received. So those are all exhibits in your packet for the hearing this evening. And I would just like to say thank you to Marley. Once council in January of 2022 appointed the ad hoc committee to do this project. Our first committee meeting was in April of 2022. So it was almost 3 years to adoption this evening. And a lot of work. It was fun, like looking into the future and getting the public's involvement and all that you explained, the public engagement that we did. I was hoping to be number one with survey responses, but Cheltenham holds that number one. So we're number two now in the county. But next time, in 10 years. But I do want to, a lot of work and effort went into it. Our committee meetings that we would have were in the evening, and sometimes they stretched for 4 hours, well into the night. And a lot of time and a lot of work went into this plan. And I want to thank Marley, and I want to thank the committee, and I just don't want to miss anyone. But Mr. Whiteside was on the committee. Teresa Harmon, a former member of council, was on the committee. Eric Ferrari, our former Planning Commission chairman, was on the committee. Jeff Martell from the Planning Commission. Jack Butler from the Water and Sewer Authority. Mike Shinton, our Director of Codes and Community Planning. Of course, Marley Bice led the committee and the plan with her assistant, Matt Lubitz, from the County Planning Commission. And just wanted to thank the committee, thank Marley and Matt for their time, but many hours attending public events, public engagement, but just our committee meetings alone. I think the shortest one was maybe 2 hours, the shortest one. And we just kept talking and coming up with ideas and talking out the entire township. So it was a fun process, and now we get to move on to our zoning ordinance next year. So, but just wanted to thank the committee members and Marley for their work on this plan.
Just to add to what you were saying, yes, we did put a lot of hours in at meetings, but Marley and her group compiled all that stuff and put hours and hours and hours in back at their offices to compile, combine, and then come up with new information for us to discuss. So thank you for all that effort. All right, if there's no further questions, we'll close the hearing and we'll consider this ordinance later this evening. Okay, we'll call this evening's meeting to order. Shall we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First, I have an announcement. Samantha Slough is present this evening by phone. And maybe I think we should take a moment of silence to think about the flooding in Texas and the lives that were lost there. Our next item this evening is to recognize the retirement of Kenneth Goglin, from our Public Works Department. He worked for Horsham for 38 years. Bill?
Yes, and as council knows, we have some employees that like attention and some that don't like attention. So we call him Kenny. So Kenny is one that does not like attention, does not like any fanfare, pictures, or anything like that. So he is not with us this evening, but we wanted to take time to recognize him and his 38 years with us for the official minutes of the township. And as you said, he joined in 1987 our Public Works Department. He is a resident of Horsham Township. And as you've heard me say, the Public Works Department is involved with everything that we do behind the scenes. So Kenny saw a lot of change from this township growing from a rural area and our Public Works Department being a rural Public Works Department. Back in 1987 when Kenny came, we didn't have many trucks and the equipment that we have today, and the staff also grew as the township grew. So Kenny saw a lot of change over his 38 years in the township, but also in the Public Works Department. So I think Kenny touched everything: Horsham Days, park and rec events, snow plowing, paving. Worked every piece of equipment that we have in Public Works. He left us retired out as a equipment operator. It's good for him that it's retirement and he enters that phase, but a loss for us as a longtime employee with the institutional knowledge. Kenny was also very personable. Those that you know him. So when residents would come out, when they would be working on someone's street, and he was very personable and was able to communicate well with the residents that he talked to. So we will miss him, but we wish him a very happy and healthy and long retirement.
Thank you, Bill. We have a proclamation for Kenny, which we will get to him as soon as possible. I'd like to read it here. Whereas it is with great pleasure that we recognize Kenneth Kenny Goglin for his 38 years of devotion and service to our community on the occasion of his retirement as member of our Public Works team. And whereas before Kenny's career with Horsham Township, he was a small engine mechanic for a local small engine repair shop, and thus Kenny's mechanical knowledge was the foundation for his years of Public Works experience. And whereas whether it was long, cold nights, clearing snow-covered streets, putting down asphalt in the hot summer afternoons, road milling and patching, line painting, inlet rebuilding, Kenny consistently brought a positive attitude and worked many dedicated hours to provide excellent service to the residents of Horsham Township. Whereas his years of service bring great credit to himself and his wife, Stacy, Kenny Goglin has forever left a favorable impression on those who have had the pleasure of working with him. Kenny has been committed through his work for the Public Works Department and to making Horsham Township a better place for all to live, work, and play. And whereas we thank Kenny Goglin for his reliability to the organization and applaud him for his dedicated service to our community. On the occasion of his retirement, we extend to Kenny our best wishes for success in all of his future endeavors. Thank you. All right. All right. Next up is opportunity for questions and comments from the public. Anybody have a question? Anything we need to talk about? All right. So next is approval of minutes. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Next is the treasurer's report.
The balance in the general fund as of June 30th, 2025 is $7,735,248.72. For the most part, the activity in all funds reflects budget expectations for June, with revenues in the general fund at 76.44% of budget and expenditures at 41.5% of budget. For a more detailed presentation of our current financial position, I would refer you to your monthly booklet.
Do we have a motion to pay the bills?
I move to approve the list of checks in all front funds from June 26, 2025 to July 9th, 2025 in the amount of $1,556,680.46 and further move to authorize payment of same. I move to ratify the U.S. Bank credit card transactions for the month of June 2025 in the amount of $14,400.68, and further move to authorize payment of same. I move to ratify checks in the Horsham Township Charitable Fund in the amount of $600, and further move to authorize payment of same.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Next, we need to consider the DeLuca Horsham LP 1129 and 1131 County Line Road subdivision. Dave, is that ready to go?
It is.
Bill, do you have any comments on it?
Just that it has been recommended for preliminary final approval from the Planning Commission. It has been reviewed by Township Council. We do have their signed agreement to accept conditions, and as you just mentioned, it's ready for your consideration this evening.
If I could just mention one additional thing, we got the agreement to accept the conditions with the handwritten date of July 8th on the front page with council's permission, council with an S. Council's permission, I'd like to be able to change that to July 9th on the face page. I didn't want the recorder of deeds to reject it for inconsistent dates. Thank you.
All right, then do we have a motion?
I move to approve the resolution as proposed, granting preliminary final approval to the DeLuca Home LP 1129 and 1131 County Line Road Land Development Plan 25-02-D.
Second?
It's moved and seconded. This is a roll call vote.
Mr. Glemser, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Slaff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Shunky, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Mr. Whiteside, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Next, we need to consider a resolution adopting the 2025 Horsham Township Comprehensive Plan. I don't know if it needs any further discussion other than a motion.
I move to approve the resolution as proposed, 2025 Horsham Township Comprehensive Plan.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. This is roll call vote.
Mr. Glemser, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Slaff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Chunky, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Mr. Whiteside, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Next, we need to introduce an ordinance adopting the 2021 edition of the International Property Maintenance Code, therefore repealing Ordinance 2022-01 and all other ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict therewith. Bill?
So I'm just going to talk about your next four agenda items, so I don't take too much time up on each one. But your next four items are introducing, as you just said, the property maintenance code as well as the fire code, and establishing hearings on both of those ordinances. The International Property Maintenance Code and the International Fire Code is updated every 3 to 4 years. And the last time Council adopted it was the 2018 edition, and we adopted it in 2022. We are not behind. They are behind. So what you are doing tonight, this evening, is introducing an ordinance that would adopt the 2021 edition and set a hearing on both of them. And we use these codes, these international codes, because they're used nationwide. They're used through the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania at all levels of government, and they are credible codes that are a lot of case law behind them. The courts recognize both of them, and that's why we use them. So our code department needs, and by the way, the updates from 2018 to 2022 are very minor. There's no major substantial updates in either code. They're just updated every 3 to 4 years, so it's some minor changes in them.
I'm assuming that the answer is yes, but 2021 is the most up-to-date version edition. Do they ever plan to just call it the year that it is?
No.
No, fantastic.
What fun would that be?
What on earth?
Do we have a motion?
I move to introduce an ordinance adopting the 2021 edition of the International Property Maintenance Code, therefore repealing Ordinance 2022-01 and all other ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict therewith.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. This is a roll call vote.
Mr. Glemser, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Slaff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Chunky, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Mr. Whiteside, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right.
And just the next
We
one?
need to consider a resolution establishing a time and a place for this ordinance, or for this hearing. We're looking at August the 13th, 2025 at 7:30 PM in this auditorium. Do we have a motion?
I move to adopt the resolution as proposed, establishing a time and place for a public hearing on an ordinance for adopting the 2021 edition of the International Property Maintenance Code, therefore repealing ordinance 2022-01 and the other ordinances and parts of the ordinances in conflict therewith, Wednesday, August 13th, 2025 at 7:30 PM in the Horsham Township building.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. This is a roll call vote.
Mr. Clemser, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Slaff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Chunky, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Mr. Whiteside, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Next, we have to introduce the 2021 edition of the International Fire Code, therefore repealing ordinance 2022-02 and all other ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict therewith.
I move to introduce an ordinance adopting the 2021 edition of the International Fire Code, therefore repealing ordinance 2022-02 and all other ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict therewith.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. This is a roll call vote.
Mr. Glemser, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Slaff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Chunky, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Mr. Whiteside, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Next, we have to establish a hearing date for this ordinance. We're looking at August the 13th, 2025, 7:30 PM in the Horsham Township building. Do we have a motion?
I move to adopt the resolution as proposed, establishing a time and place for a public hearing on an ordinance for adopting the 2021 edition of the International Fire Code, therefore repealing ordinance 2022-02 and all other ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, Wednesday, August 13th, 2025 at 7:30 PM in the Horsham Township building.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. This is a roll call vote.
Mr. Clemser, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Slaff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Chunky, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Mr. Whiteside, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Next, we need to introduce an ordinance establishing an official map for the area of the former Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base Willow Grove for public lands and facilities.
We're giving information.
Just real quick, sorry. You get in the groove of things, so. But the official map, your next agenda item is scheduling a public hearing, so that's when we'll talk about the official map, what it is, what its purpose is, and why we're doing it. But this is step number 2. As we did our protective zoning, step number 1, the official map is step number 2. And then after the official map, our final step, step number 3, will be the comprehensive zoning for the base.
Quick question, looking ahead at the next motion and the agenda. Why is this Wednesday, August 25th, and not also on the 13th?
The municipal planning code, the MPC, for an official map, you had to have 45 days
Okay.
of advertising your hearing date.
Thank you.
We have a motion?
I move to introduce the proposed official map and ordinance for the area of the former Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base, Willow Grove, in Horsham Township.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. This is a roll call vote.
Mr. Clemser, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Slaff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Chunky, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Mr. Whiteside, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
And lastly, we need to establish a time and date for this meeting. We're looking at I'm looking at the wrong one.
Wednesday.
August the 25th at 7 PM in the Horsham Township building. Do we have a motion?
I move to adopt the resolution as proposed, establishing a time and place for a public hearing on the proposed official map and ordinance for the area of the former Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base Willow Grove in Horsham Township, Wednesday, August 25th, 2025 at 7 PM in the Horsham Township Municipal Building.
Just the date's wrong.
We need to amend the motion.
It's a typo on
Do we have to
the,
say it again, or do we? Okay, it's Monday. And second.
It's moved and seconded. This is a roll call vote.
Mr. Glemser, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Slaff, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Chunky, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Mr. Whiteside, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Before we adjourn, I'll announce that National Night Out is Tuesday, August the 5th, from 6 to 9 at the Horsham Township Municipal Complex. And that same evening, of August the 5th, there will be fireworks at 9 p.m. in Deep Meadow Park. With no further business, meeting adjourned.